Grant Adcox called me and wanted me to come get a car ready to take to Daytona. So I went up there, or I went over to Chattanooga and got that, and it had, he rented motors from Waddell Wilson. Well, it was a car, it was an Oldsmobile he had gotten. It was a bigger car, big car, and he sent it to Home Moody, and they changed it over to the newer Oldsmobile, not the small one.
Yeah, the 110-inch wheelbase. Yeah.
Yeah, changed it over to the that peak nose.
Yep.
Oldsmobile, and so I had 3 days to get the motor in it and set this car up, and everything had never been together like that. And Ricky's buddy Joel, he came with me down there. And a couple of local boys down there, Will Lynn.
Okay, yeah.
Will Lynn came over, and
wow.
And we all got the thing ready. We worked for 2 or 3 days straight right there and got the thing done. But we went down there, and this is where I learned about chassis rigidity. We went out, and I knew what kind of springs it took to go around Daytona.
Right.
I mean, I'd been doing it long enough that I knew that. And you put that old boxcar 3,000-pound spring in the right front, and put a little bitty spring in the left front over there. And we went out, and he said, man, this thing is loose going in, and it was just pushing, coming off from the middle out. No matter what, we slung springs and did stuff all day, and it made no difference. And we're sitting there, and I told Joel, I said, let me change, I want to change the shock. Put some stands under the back there. Well, he didn't understand what I meant. And we had a set of those little short jack stands, the small jack stands, not the big ones like everybody. These are the short ones. And he stuck it under this one corner right here and let the car down. And the other 3 wheels went down and touched the ground.
No.
And it should have just, stuck up in there.
Right.
And it didn't. It went down and about touched the ground. I oh my gosh.
Wow.
So it was an old Banjo car. So Banjo was in the garage area. So I caught up with Banjo and I said, man, this is what the car's doing, and this is what happened. Right here. He said, it's just an old car. It's give up. He said, I tell you what you do. He said, put you a set of jack stands right here at the front of the frame with the motoring ring in it, and just let it hang there. He said, then go in there, and your petty bar coming down beside you right there.
Yeah.
He said, go in there and cut that thing in 2. I cut that thing in 2, and boom, it bounced out there about a 3/8 inch gap.
Wow.
We welded that thing back together, put the springs back in it we came with, went out and qualified 4th.
You stiffened her back up.
Stiffened it back up. He said it was what it was doing when you went in the corner loaded, the chassis just flexed up like that, and then as the load came off, it loaded back down and made it push the bad coming out of the corner.
That's
from the middle out. But going in the corner, it just flexed up like that. And that's where I learned right there about the rigidity.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the same way. Wow. I couldn't believe how much it flexed when we set it down.
Oh my gosh.
It made a completely different car. I mean, you couldn't even drive it before that. And after that, and Waddell come down there, I said, well, I think I'm gonna work on it. He said, don't touch nothing. Don't touch nothing on this thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was fast.
That's cool. Grant Adcox, I've never got to meet him. I've heard a lot about him. Nobody I've talked to has anything bad to say about him. They say he was quite a special guy to work for and a good dude, and they say he was a good racer.
Super nice guy, great family. I mean, his whole family. His dad owned the dealership, along with Kirby Adcox right there in Chattanooga, and we were right down the street from Honest Charlie's Speed Shop.
Oh, no kidding.
Which was back then, right there in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Wow.
But they were just really nice people. I enjoyed working for Grant. He was fun.
So how long did you stay there?
I stayed there that year.
That year, okay.
Till the end of the year. And then his dad, I guess, he was probably spending a little more money than what he wanted to, because we were wanting to run good. We just built a new car, and I wasn't sure his dad knew all about it. We went and picked up a new Banjo frame and built a new car, and his dad came in and, okay, we're going to take a year off.
Yeah.
So I came home, and as a matter of fact, Grant called up Waddell and told him that he'd give me a good recommendation and asked if he had a job for me. So Waddell said, come here. So it was right there at the end of the season. So I got there, and as soon as they came home from the Thanksgiving holiday, I went to work for Waddell with Buddy Baker driving the car and stuff.
Wow. So that would have been the Rainier stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, Rainier, yeah.
The
Sure
Great
was.
Ghost, the big Oldsmobiles, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And we won. That's the first time I'd been on a big team.
Yeah.
You know, rather than a little independent. And I was tired. I changed front tire, and we went to Daytona and won the Daytona 500.
Yep.
Right there with Buddy in 1980 with the Gray Ghost.
Yep.
Right there.
Now what? Okay, so I did the Busch Series and did a little bit of Cup racing and crew chiefs a truck in 2002. I was never fortunate enough to make it to victory lane on that level. You know, I worked for, you know, a bunch of teams, underfunded, this, that, you know, and newer teams with younger drivers and whatnot. Great people, loved what I did.
Yeah.
What was it like, not only go to victory lane, but your first time in victory lane is Daytona 500? I mean, what was that?
It was, I guess, looking back at it, I probably took it a little bit for granted. You know, I probably didn't enjoy it as much as I should. I mean, it was great. Trust me. I mean, I was happy as I could be.
Yeah.
But I guess it didn't mean as much because when you got that level, you're supposed to win.
Okay.
I mean, in Waddell, when you go to Daytona with Waddell Wilson,
Yeah.
the motor in his car and him crew chief and everything like that, and Buddy Baker driving,
Yeah.
you're supposed to win.
Right. Okay.
If you didn't win, it's because something went wrong. I mean, something happened, but the car always ran everywhere we went. The car was fast enough to win.
Wow.
You know, so and it wasn't like I wasn't anybody important. I mean, I was a tire changer and mechanic on the car. You know, it wasn't like I was, it's a whole different deal when you're the crew chief and you do things when, like I ran that year with them. Well, halfway through the year, I guess they were having some changes over at DiGard at the Gatorade team with Darrell Waltrip. And they called up and wanted me to come over there. And this was like in June. And
now, were they still in Daytona? Was their shop still down there?
No, they were over by the airport.
Okay, so
they were
moved,
here in Charlotte.
Okay.
They were here in Charlotte. And so I went to Waddell and told him, now, you're talking 1980.
Yeah.
And Waddell had hired me for about the same thing I was making before. I was making $15,000 a year. And DiGard they offered me $3,000 raise.
Wow.
$18,000 a year.
That's all the money in the world when you're used to.
Well, when you're making 15, that's almost a 50%. I mean, that's a lot of raise. So
Yes.
I told Waddell, I said, I really can't. He said, well, I can't match that or nothing. So, and they gave me a chance. They said that Buddy Parrott is the crew chief over here. He said, but Buddy he's a good people person, a good organizer, and you'll be doing the job, but he'll have the title. I said, I don't care what you call me, just let me do the job.
Yeah, boy, that's a great learning experience. Holy smokes, wow.
To work under, Buddy Parrott, and Robert Yates was building the motors, and Noah Brown was in the motor room, and all these famous guys. Dan Ford was building the gears.
Yep.
I mean, there were so many famous people at that shop that it was just an experience just to do that. But I quit and went over there, and I went by the shop, and they gave me the shirt and all the stuff and a plane ticket and told me to meet them in College Station. They flew me to College Station, and we should have won that race, but a valve cover gasket leaked. It was leaking, and they had to glue a new one on. Didn't find it till that morning, and glue never dried.
Right.
You don't. And
yeah, it can't.
And Buddy Parrott had told him. He says, we ain't, and they did it halfway through the race. It sucked the gasket in and everything, but we were leading the race when it did it.
Man.
So, and then we left there and drove straight to Riverside and won Riverside. Man, so I was lucky that got to work with a lot of good people and stuff like that. A lot of good experiences.
Yeah.
And things like
Heck
that.
Yeah. That would have been an ideal learning environment. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get with this hot rod behind us?
Well, I was at Gatorade, and I had a falling out with well, I didn't really have a falling out, but there was somebody there that I didn't like. I thought they were underhanded, and they were like, I would get a part from somebody, borrowed at the racetrack, and then I'd buy a new one to replace it. When we got home, they're like, "Oh, just wash up the old broke one and stuff like that and give it back to them," and stuff and things like that. I'm like, "Yeah, you don't do that."
Right.
You know, and that happened twice. And the last time, I got the car loaded in the truck, and then I just told them I wasn't going to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And I called Booby Harrington, had called me and wanted me to come to work over on the 2-car.
Okay.
Over there, and with J.D. Stacy, and I told him no. And then when I got mad over at DiGard and everything, and I just quit and went over there.
Cool.
Went over there halfway through the season or something like that. Wasn't far into the season, and we ran that year with Dale Inman as crew chief.
Yep.
You know, and brought Tim Richmond in.
Yep.
You know, one Riverside.
Yep.
You know, and just, you know.
I think that was Tim's first and second Cup win.
Yeah.
Were the first race at Riverside in '82 and the second race at Riverside, which was race 1 and race 14, I believe.
I don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
But Tim was great at Riverside, and he was a cool guy. Yeah. I really liked Tim. We got along and stuff. We'd go over to his house sometimes, and he was good friends with Raymond Beadle, with drove the Blue Max.
Yeah.
Drag funny car, and when they were traveling, they would come over to Tim's house. He lived over in was it Queens Landing, or I mean not Queens Landing, but God, right off of exit 31, I think, Queens Cove or something like that. One of the neighborhoods over there. And they would unload the funny car in his driveway and go through it and do the motor, you know, and switch over and go down the road, you know, and that was stuff like that over there.
Oh my gosh! Try that with your homeowners association now.
Yeah. You can't. My neighborhood, you can't even park a car with a sign. Yeah. No signage on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know.
That's our neighborhood too. Yep. Yeah. Oh, that would have been so neat though.
Yeah. I mean, I was so fortunate to. I mean, just the people I was able to work with, work around, and all that. It was amazing.
Wow.
I was very fortunate, and like I said, unfortunately, I took it a lot for granted because it came. I didn't like have to work hard to go to school to learn racing or do something like that. It just if somebody offered me a job, I'd go over there. You know, somebody offered me a job, I'd go over there. You know.
Well, it's because you were good at what you did, and like you said, you were dedicated. You know, you weren't one of the ones in the shop complaining about working all night. You same way we looked at it. This is what has to be done by tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
And if we're not done tomorrow evening, then it's, by midnight we got to load because we have exactly this many hours to get to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And you just did what has to be done. And then there's I don't know the best way to put it, but there's something that sets in your brain when you do that week after week after week after week.
Yeah.
And you figure out, what's important, how much time I can spend on each of these things. And I got into a rhythm when I was working for Ricky Craven, and we ran 20 races with 3 employees in the shop, roughly. And it was like every night when you think you're done, midnight, 2 in the morning, do one more thing on the list.
Yeah.
Just do one more thing, because 3 days from now, that's 3 things that aren't on the list anymore.
Right.
And it
always takes longer than you think it's going to take.
Right, exactly. But now it's not tomorrow morning's problem.
Yeah.
It's done, and it's, I get that, I understand that, but I think that's why it was so easy for you. Or not so easy, but it was easier to go from place to place because they knew once you get that reputation. I know when I left Ricky Craven's, I got 18 job offers when I left Ricky Craven's.
That's it.
Just because I had that reputation of that he gets it done.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about him. So I understand that. So Stacy's, Tim Richmond.
Stayed at Stacy's, and at the end of the season, I had heard rumor going through the shop that he was running out of money. And he always paid me. I mean, JD, he was really nice to me.
This would have been the end of '82.
End of '82.
Okay.
He was always nice to me. Robert Harrington, Booby. He was, everybody was nice to me. Dewey Livengood was over there. Bob Branham. He was there. A lot of neat people were over there then. In the chassis shop, I can't even think of all the people that were in there.
Wow.
Denny Wade.
Yep. Okay.
He was back over there. It was a lot of great people there. But I'd heard they were going down, and JD came to me or JD Stacy, he came to me and told me that Dale was leaving at the end of the season, and that he wanted me to be the crew chief the next year. And I think with Tim and all, and then the rumors really came on that the whole deal, he was running out of money and everything else, and Tim was leaving. Everybody was going in different directions and everything. So we were at Atlanta at the end of the season, and Johnny Hayes was walking through the garage area that had the Copenhagen Skull right there. He was walking through the garage area, and he said, "Hey, I just hired your girlfriend. I just gave your girlfriend a job." And I'm like, "I ain't got no girlfriend," and everything. He says, "Yeah, Terry." I said, "Oh, that's Gary Brooks' girlfriend." And Gary Brooks was working. I don't know if you know Gary Brooks.
I know of him.
Penske's. Yeah. Gary, he was over there at JD Stacy's too. That was his first job.
Oh, cool.
In racing, he came down there, and anyway, he said, I said, "Oh, that's Gary's girlfriend, right there," and everything. And he started to walk away. I said, "You ain't got another job, do you?" So he said, "Well, I might." And he came back about an hour later and told me to come by the shop over in Denver. Right there, they had all they had was a little office. They didn't even have a shop. They didn't have anything yet.
Oh, wow.
The show car division had a little office right down here in Denver. And I stopped in, and he says, "Yeah, we need a crew chief," and everything right there. And he said, "What's it going to take?" I said, "Well, I'm making about, I think I'm making about 28,000 a year right now. Give me 32. Well, I told him, I said, "Give me 30.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll give you 32. Okay.
Cool.
So the next thing I was crew chief again, and they were just building a shop. All they were putting the sides up. And they had a car that from Leo Jackson. They had run, I guess, a race with Benny somewhere, and we had to get the car ready to go to Daytona and stuff. And they didn't even have anything on the building. There wasn't a roof on it, wasn't nothing. It was just that and concrete and rocks out there.
Gosh.
So we went over there, and all they had was a saw box. Didn't even have power in the building yet. They had a saw box with a hole in the wall, and I went down to Sears and Roebuck down in Charlotte, and Johnny Hayes gave me a check right there, and I loaded up everything electric, because we didn't have any air yet. We had electric drills, a drill press. I bought everything. I bought thousands of dollars worth of stuff because we didn't even have a screwdriver. They had nothing.
Wow.
And the guy comes out. He goes, "Look, you got an awful lot of stuff here and everything, Oh, you got the check." And he said, I said, "It's Johnny Hayes Racing." He said, "Well, who's your driver?" I said, "Benny Parsons." He said, "Oh, go get everything you want." Just like it. "You're good, go ahead." Just like that.
That's awesome.
And we loaded up and came home, and it was Scott Robinette and Andy Petrie.
Yep.
Andy Petrie was my right-hand man down there. It was a whole gang of us, and Waddell Wilson's stepson, Gary Snipes, he worked with us down there, and like I said, Scott Robinette. There was a whole bunch of good guys. But we worked on it right there in the concrete. They were still the people there putting panels on the building, trying to put the roof up and everything like that. And we were just drilling out pop rivets and fixing everything to go to Daytona to test.
Oh my gosh.